Greetings, friends, fellow unicorns. I am beginning today with a quote. This is for my Pisces tribe, those who are supersonic, sensitive nervous systems in this really intense situation. It's intense for all of us, but those that are wired to pick up on everything are really getting bathed in quite a lot of sensation right now, and it takes some tricks to handle it. So we're going to start talking about that. That's what I'm going to start sharing, my tricks with my fellow Pisces tribe. And that does not disclude you if you are not a Pisces sun. This is for Virgo, Pisces, axis, particularly nodes, sun, and moon. And if you also just feel particularly resonant, even though you have not yet found it in your chart. If it is in your heart, it is in your chart. That is a quote from Anne Ortley. So we're going to start with this, this quote. And then I'll say stuff about it after I read it. So this is from The Magician's Land. It's the third book in the Magician's trilogy, which is a fictional masterpiece that I highly recommend. Do yourself a favor this holiday season. So this is the last book, and the fantasy world is called Fillory, and this is during Fillory's apocalypse, and Queen Janet, who is quite hardcore, is riding a hippogriff through the land of Fillory, witnessing the apocalypse from on high. For a minute, it looked like the centaurs were going to make the difference. But then, boom, a spearhead of unicorns rammed into the side of their formation. Jesus, Janet had to turn away. You only had to see a unicorn lay open the side of a centaur once, the rib cage flashing white when the ripped skin flopped down, to swear a mighty oath never to fuck with or even look at another unicorn again. I'm putting down the hearts and fluffy clouds and backing away slowly. Don't want any trouble here. You can have all the rainbows. And the reason this quote ministers to me such that it does is because us sensitive souls often get the bad rap of being weaklings, and when in fact we are the strongest of the strong because of what this life and this experience has demanded of us to be able to survive it. So what we have upcoming in a few days' time is a dark moon, sun and the moon together in Sagittarius. This is on the mutable T-square axis. So this is not a Pisces, directly a Virgo Pisces lunation, but it's on the mutable axis. So you have Virgo Pisces as an opposition, and then you have Gemini Sagittarius as an opposition. These are the four mutable signs: the feminine axis, the masculine axis. And so we have the masculine axis in these next coming days being activated by this lunation. And the reason why I want to talk about the Virgo Pisces axis in relation to this coming dark moon is because of the eclipse season that is coming up is a Virgo Pisces eclipse season. And it's going to be big time, y'all. And if you follow any astrologer anywhere in all the world, you know this. So everybody's talking about from their opinion, their angle. Someone's focusing a little more on this, someone's focusing a little bit more on that. But we're all talking about the same period of time, the coming couple few years, really till the end of the decade, but especially the next 2 or 3 years, as being unprecedented in its ability to confound. It's not just astrologers. You can talk to anybody, anywhere, whatever their vantage point, whatever their viewpoint. We all feel this thing coming, and we don't know what it is. We can't know what it is because it's never happened before, but we all feel it, like the charge in the air before a great storm, or the charge in the air before a full solar eclipse, especially if you didn't know it was coming, but you could feel it, and you could look around and see all the animals feel it too. So it's not just the Virgo Pisces eclipses that are what is up for these coming years, but given everything, all of the planetary activity of the coming years, the backdrop of that, the rhythm, the heartbeat of the earth that the eclipse cycle is on the Virgo Pisces axis. And I am noticing that over the past year and a half, this T-square has been extraordinarily active for me personally. And so I am looking at this coming lunation as part of the story that is unfolding in my life, and to get indications of what will be coming in this coming few years. So that's what this moon is about for me, is really giving me a zero in on some of the major themes of the next few years for me personally. So this may not be as specifically so if you don't have a lot of activity, mutable activity in your chart. But if you do, then, especially if you do, then pay attention to the themes of this coming lunation. Also look back over the past year. I mean, because this has been ramping up. What's happening is so big that it's been happening for a few years. I mean, ultimately, everything is connected. It's all been happening since the beginning, right? But it's like music, where certain parts of the song fade in and then fade out. And there's this, the melody that is crescendoing in the coming years, that melody and components of that melody and backbone of that melody, like the bass notes of that melody, that's been building for a few years. Since 2020, you know, you've probably heard people say this is the Roaring 20s. This is a reiteration of the Roaring 20s. So, yes, I'm going to just shift a little bit into the star map that I'm doing for this right now, which I've been showing you, because I know I'm going to splice it in, so I know I will have been showing it to you. But this is special, and this is new. This is the original piece, and then I made, and what you're seeing in this video is still a prototype. It's not what will be available, but I went to Kinko's because I'm making this very, very accessible. That's the goal of my work year after year after year, is continuing the level of fine art that I can sign my name to, while making it more and more accessible to more and more people. And so I did this at Kinko's, and I did two versions. I printed them out. So I've put on some blanks here in Canva so that you can fill it out. This is like, if you just go in and self-serve, print yourself with no assistance, this is what you get. Cheapest paper. This is like 22 cents for two, because they come double like this. And then this is the thickest cardstock they have. If you want something a little nicer, it's matte. It's not the glossy, but it still is a little bit shiny. And then you're going to be able to sign up for my mailing list and get a free PDF of this, so that you can make as many copies as you want and make as many charts as you want practice until you get good enough and be able to throw it away, because it only cost you 22 cents, because it's going to take you some fuck ups before you get good enough to do it. But then you can look at your natal chart and other natal charts without being in front of a screen. This is so, so, so important, y'all. I cannot stress enough how important this is for connecting with spirit while you are studying and contemplating the movements of the planets. You need to be able to do that with, and to be engaging your intellect, engaging the numbers, engaging the data without looking at a screen. So I am drawing this today, and we'll see how it all pans out, because I meant to do that kind of at the beginning, but I got taken away with the message. So what we're looking at on the East Coast where I am is fancy that, a Virgo rising, Pisces in the 7th, and this Sagittarius Dark Moon is in the 4th house. We're at 9 degrees, 32 minutes. And I just would like to point out for myself personally, and if you have strong Pisces, Virgo placements or Gemini, Sagittarius placements, go and look and see where the degrees are. This 9, 10, 11 degrees of the mutable signs over the past year and some change for me has been so full on. And I'd be really curious if anybody does go back and look and see that they are also experiencing that. Please let me know, because a lot of lunations have hit just right there in that end of the first decan of the mutable signs. So yeah, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this coming dark moon. I'm looking at the story that the whole thing is telling. Some interesting points about this moon that I know I'm not the first to point out, but I'm going to mention it because it's beautiful. The harmony of the spheres is that we have Mercury in Jupiter's sign with the sun and the moon. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. And we have Jupiter in Mercury sign, Jupiter in Gemini. So they are in mutual reception. They're also both in detriment. So they're as far away from home as they can possibly be. So that's said to be in detriment. And that can be a bad thing. That can be a good thing. It depends on a lot of factors in your chart. And it also depends on how you write it. And it also depends on your own hermeneutic choice. You are the only one who gets to decide what the thing means. That is your power. That is your grand wizardly nuclear power. So, when I think about being far away from home, because I am very Sagittarian in this way, I love to travel. Get me as far away from home as possible. Get me as uncomfortable as possible. That is an endogenous psychedelic trip is what that is. You change everything. And my favorite thing to do in the whole world is to snorkel and talk about being in a different world. Talk about being as far away from home as possible. We can't breathe air. We're in a completely different medium of where we are made to actually be able to survive. How long can we go without air? Seconds. If we're really practiced, minutes. So, you have this little tube, you have your little goggles. I don't really like the fins. I just use my feet, but you're very aware of how awkward and out of place and how much you don't belong. And it forces you to experience the world in the now, which is psychedelic as fuck. And that's really what's coming. And so I'm feeling that about this lunation, the feeling of when you're tuning into the Sagittarius and the Jupiter archetype, and we are tuning into the Gemini and the Mercury archetype. And then you're tuning into them being, see, because they're both in each other's houses, there's this bit of harmony there where they are less uncomfortable than they would otherwise be if they weren't together in the situation. So they're, you know, if you are having a psychedelic experience alone, it's a lot different than if you're having a psychedelic experience with somebody else. And they're having this experience together, and that is what is coming, and that is what it will take for you to survive it and to thrive in it, and to experience things that are subjectively bad as not bad or good, but just to experience them as what they are leads to opportunity. Let us repeat that. To experience a situation that may be labeled subjectively bad or subjectively good, but in particular in this moment, we're talking about subjectively bad, because when bad things happen, needs arise, and then the answers to those needs are needed, and if you have the answer, then you get an opportunity. So let's take it back and phrase this precisely. When things that are subjectively bad happen, and you can hold it away from the dichotomy of good versus bad, but just hold it for what it is, be with it for what it is, then it becomes opportunity. It becomes an opportunity. This is what is coming for us. This is what is coming for us. And what I'm going to be sharing in the coming years are actual practical techniques and practices for managing one's own nervous system. So you can listen to me, oh, Eve, what she's saying is great, I agree, I'm going to do that. But then once situations arise, then you're in an animal body. If you have not practiced doing that, then you will not be able to do that. So this is all about practices, and I'm gonna finish this up, but that's just a teaser for what's coming from this channel. And I'm going to start by suggesting the Taoist practices, and the chi-based practices. So this can be martial arts, this can be movement arts, this can be a myriad of spin-offs from those things. I practice Qigong, and I ebb and flow for how much, the depth at which I'm practicing, and I am recognizing that starting now, it's really time to be in depth of practice every day, so that for what is coming, my system can handle it, because I'm extremely sensitive. And there are so many of us here in this time for a reason. The world needs what we have. And if we get taken out because we just can't handle it, and we end up in the mental institution or in bed or hiding under the bed, then we cannot bring what it is that we have to bring. And the truth of the matter, remember the unicorns. Remember the unicorns. People may think you're all rainbows and fluffy clouds, but you've got that horn. You have an immensity of strength, and you are here for a reason. So let's learn how to wield it. Enjoy this new moon. It's Jupiterian, it's mercurial, it's expansive, it's curious, it's psychedelic. Practice with it, pay attention to it, tune into, and I'm going to add in the writing about this, I'm going to add the eclipse cycles of my lifetime, the Virgo Pisces nodal eclipse cycles, so that you can tune into those periods in time and start tracking your story over those periods in time, because that's what's coming over the next 2 or 3 years. This goes through February of 2027, is the next iteration of that story for you. And then also to get a more up-to-date taste of the story, look at the mutable T-square lunations over the past 2 years. See if you can find a thread. Love y'all. Blessings to all of you. Talk to you soon.